Right, we are live. Okay, so yeah, it's been a while since I've streamed. So I did the Christmas break, and then I came back shortly for a little while, and I changed a lot of stuff about the game. So fundamentally, all of the talents and all of the artifacts now work for the army as well as the hero, which is one of those crazy things. I mean, I guess the clickbaity title there would be how one simple decision changed my game. And it's true. It's I don't know why I didn't do it like that before. As I've said in, I think I said it in the interrogation simulator video, that it's amazing how much perspective can help things. So you walk away and you come back again, and things are, and you just see things that you didn't see before. They become really obvious. So made that change, and then. Yeah, a couple crazy things happened. Won't get into it, but basically was a bit distracted. And the major thing that was distracting me as well, which has been nice, is Factorio Space Age. I really like that game. That game is my crack. So I had a good couple weeks of like grinding that, and I still haven't finished it yet. I don't know if anyone plays that game, but I'm as far as I've sorted out my setup on each of the first planets, so Gleba, Volcanus, and Fulgora, and of course the main one. And I've set it up so that I can kind of take my spaceship, collect big chunks of research, and bring it back to my main planet where I have the biolabs, and that's great. But I can't keep playing that forever. I tend to want, when I take a break from work to play a game, I tend to like finish that game before, and then not play a game for a while, and this one just takes a long time, so I have to get back before it's finished. And so I've got a few things to talk through. So while I was off stream as well, I did the very, very boring job of going through all of these weapons and all of these upgrades and just writing them out. So for the weapons that, and a lot of these are, black sword as opposed to sword. So this would just be the sword that the black beans use. It's just like the sword. I think for generally my rule is for the black beans, I take off a bit of damage and I add a bit of AoE. And then my rule for the spicy beans, like the demons, I kind of add a bit of damage and take off a bit of speed. And that tends to... the thing is, I don't know exactly what these numbers should be anyway. So I'm kind of just putting it at random or like close approximations, because this is going to be a whole job in itself to basically go through and spreadsheet and balance all of these things. And then a lot of it's going to come down to feedback and my own playthroughs, where someone will say, why is the hammer so much, like the hammer is just plainly a better pick than the sword. Why would I ever pick the sword? And then I have to address that. I have to say, well, why is that? And what's an intelligent way to change that so that it doesn't feel imbalanced? So that because obviously I want every pick to be valid, to be viable. So yeah, that's where I've been with that. Like, for example, straight away I can see, I think that the damage numbers here are off. So yeah. And they should kind of be a lot higher. So I did that. I did that off stream because that's just incredibly boring, and I think that's one of the things that caused me to sort of take a bit of hiatus from the game, because I just had this big chunk of stuff to do that I didn't really want to do. The bit of game development that I enjoy is coming up with the idea, building the system, making it work, and then testing it and getting that to work. And then when I get to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, this all works, now add content, that's where I hit my runner's wall. That's where I get burnt out and I'm like, I'm bored of this. I want to start on a new project. So I'm finding ways to get around that. I'm going to release a video soon about how I deal with burnout. So hopefully that's something that will be useful to people, because I've been here before. So with a lot of these, like I said, they're placeholders. So even if the stats are completely wrong and that they don't make sense, the fact that I have the placeholder here is an achievement yeah, that's progress. It's still a milestone to have these practically empty placeholders. It will make editing them in future much easier, as opposed to adding them in piecemeal and spending ages designing them in my armchair. So yeah, I could add these things one by one, which would just mean ridiculous amounts of testing in each case. I could sit here in my designer armchair and come up with the best numbers for each one, but I actually think the best way is to fail quickly. Am I wearing my... Can you see the logo? Nah, it's fine. Can you see the logo on my shirt? My hoodie. This is my old Jagex hoodie. And... yeah, so this is the way I like to do it. Plop them all in, and then I can go through and kind of test them out one by one, but actually in a proper context. Because it doesn't mean much to say, oh, let's try out the hammer. It's like, well, it depends what other weapons you've got. It depends what artifacts you have. There's a lot there. And it doesn't make sense to say, like, well, maybe the hammer is better than the sword out of context, right? So if I just said no artifacts, no other variables, one run where I have the hammer for 5 minutes, another one where I have the sword for 5 minutes, which one's better? Well, that's not really a realistic play environment. There are going to be artifacts. There are going to be things that make one better than the other. So, yeah. So that's that. It's just great. I'm taking off all these talking points that have been clogging up my to-do list. So yeah, added in placeholders, copy and pasting from their equivalents. So the stats are mostly the same, and then just kind of changing them here and there a little bit. Like, what is the difference between a Bident and a spear? Not much, really. I guess the Bident does a bit more damage, but it's a bit slower, that kind of thing. And yeah, next thing, yeah, talking about Factorio Space Age. That game got me. I had a lot of fun with that. I won't keep banging on about that, but that's my crack right there. I could do a whole spiel about how similar Factorio is to programming, and if you've played Factorio and gotten into that sort of headspace, you kind of understand what it is to be a programmer or to make a game. For example, so there's two different types of players of Factorio. There's the type who makes the thing, like, oh, okay, I need chips. Okay, let's make the things that I need for chips, and then let's make that factory. And okay, what do I need next? Okay, this thing. So I'll move these from here. Oh, now the chips are a bit low. Let's make another chips factory to keep up with the demand. And then the other style of playing, which is to read all of the numbers and say, the chips convert, they need this much iron and they need this much copper, and it takes this long, so I'm going to need this many of each thing to have an exactly full track of copper, of chips, and there's different play styles there. I'm more of the former. I came up with a way of making an infinitely, like I can if I ever find, I need more chips, I just add to the chips line and it kind of joins the main bus. So I have this massive, like literally a screen full of tracks, and things branch off, and then the part comes back, and it's quite nice. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that too much. So yeah, balance the weapons. Not much change in balance, just slightly different numbers for flavor and variety. So like, what is the difference really between a kris and a dagger? That's actually a good example. So a kris is one of those curvy blades, and a dagger, of course, is a dagger. A kris is a dagger, but it's curvy. What is the difference? There isn't really much difference. I want the undead to have a version of a dagger, and I thought the kris was good. It sort of looks like some kind of ritualistic weapon. What is the point of having a curvy dagger? The main one is that it's intimidating. It looks cool. It's more expensive. Which makes sense in a game like Blacksmith, where the price of the thing you're making has an impact. But in this, it really doesn't have any material difference. So I just made it. What did I do? I made it do a bit more damage and made it a bit slower. Simple. Don't need to overthink that too much. Ideally, I would have something completely different, but really, I came up with these archetypes. I think I did discuss this in one of the previous streams. Let me have a look at my Miro page. So we have our archetypes. I think I discussed this before. So the sword. So each faction has like one of each of these, and every faction will have a weapon that is like specifically a crit weapon, right? A weapon that is good at getting critical hits. And so it could be a machete, which is very different to a dagger. That's fundamentally a different thing. And in the case of the spicy beans, they've got the claw, which of course feels different. It looks different. No one's going to accuse that of being the same weapon. But essentially the kris and the dagger are the same thing. Maybe we can come up with something that's more undead themed, but I thought that was fine. So yeah, that's something interesting to discuss. So it's just filling that archetype. Yeah, as I said, took some time off. So then, yeah, after doing all of this off stream, took some time off. Had a bit of a crazy start to the year. Got quite a lot going on, in addition to the 2 children. So you know, not making excuses, but yeah, I haven't been my best self for the past couple of weeks. Okay. One of the things, so then I came back and I finished balancing this, and I came up with this idea that I thought was worth talking about. It's the use of constants in balancing. So what do I mean by that? A constant is a number that I could put up here. Like, for example, I could make a value which is, so this will just be like a private float, medium damage, for example, right? And I would do like medium, like small, low, medium, and high damage. And I would kind of do this for each of the stats. High damage. And I might say medium damage is 10. Low damage is 6, and high damage is 14. Oh, equals. Right? And then, when I set these weapons, I say, well, the sword is a medium damage weapon. The axe, do we have a high damage weapon? I think we do with the dagger, maybe? No, but I know that the axe is a high damage weapon. That's all the way down with orcs. So what I would then do is say that the sword does medium damage, right? And then as I'm balancing, I can just change those numbers. So I say, what is a high damage? And just to get like the raw numbers. And then this would be like, I would find some clever ways so that the advanced versions would increase it by more. So it would be like, what's 14 over 10? That's 40%. So times equals, so yeah, damage equals medium damage times, and then you could do more. You could do upgrade 1 multiplier, upgrade 2 multiplier, right? In general, I think this is not a terrible idea. As in, that would mean that I can get these kind of raw numbers right. The thing is, at this point, it's not smart to do that. But if I do a future game like this, and I probably will do something like that. I will decide sort of ahead of time, what is my baseline AoE? What is my baseline? So that I can say, so for example, right, let's say I decide that, so an axe should have about 50% more damage than a sword, right? That sort of rings true, doesn't it? It's slower. It's got a wider range, but as a result, it has less damage. So I would make those constants, And then I would. So then, if I decide, well, actually, melee weapons aren't good enough. Let's say I want to just, actually, I just want all damage to be higher. I don't have to go through 50 different weapons and raise all of their damage. I can say raise medium damage a bit, but keep high damage as it is, or keep low damage as it is, for example. In future, that would be a good idea, especially when you're figuring out your first steps in a game. But I'm not going to do that here, just because that I would have to do that retroactively. It's just a lot of work for not a lot of return, right? That's it. Like in your Factorio, you'll notice things that don't look good in your factory, like why is this a step further? This could just be a step back and it would look nicer and it would be more balanced, but it doesn't actually affect the outcome, or like this might make things go a bit faster, but the time it would take you to do it wouldn't be worth the time gained, right? So yeah, so I will. So the answer, should I be using constants for balancing? No, but I probably will for future projects. And yeah, I really didn't enjoy this. So I'm just going through my talking points here. I didn't enjoy doing this. I think I bit off more than I can chew, so I probably would have had an easier time mentally if I had just added one faction rather than doing two at a time. It's fine. And then the other thing is, sometimes when you're in the state, you just need to play the game to remind you that it's good. And I did play the game, and I have played the game a few times with these recent big changes that I made, and I'm really, really pleased with the result. It's a fun game. It clicks a lot more now, so that's good. Just the main one being that. So shall we do a run? Should we do a run? I think doing a run is a good idea. Let's have a look. Go back to title screen. I have made a couple little changes here and there. Oh, hello, darling. Thanks for joining the stream. I think you're the only person who's joined. I can't see. Actually, apparently you haven't joined. I can't see any viewers. But these tend to get about 20 to 30 viewers after the fact, so I'm not just talking to myself. I kind of am just talking to myself, but I was talking to my wife who's downstairs. And who knows, maybe someone will watch these in the future. So yeah. So now we get an artifact at the beginning. Yeah, now there's a 1 there, and that's you. So now we get an artifact at the beginning, which means that straight away we've got a build to choose. So 25% chance to heal on crit, hero heals all, right? I don't know if I could make that clearer, but now this doesn't just apply to me, this applies to the whole army. So we have critical, heal. So that's given me 2 paths I can go down. One is that I need to, when I come to picking weapons and allies, I'm going to pick the ones that are more likely to cause critical hits. And the other thing is that if I can get some kind of thing that procs whenever a heal happens, that's going to be really, really good. So yeah, let's see how this plays out. Let's see how far I can get if the game is actually balanced properly. So yeah, here we go. Now I've got this critical heal. I know that every time one of my guys crits, they might heal. So yeah, let's pick the guy with the dagger who is going to be doing lots of crits. Well, not lots of crits yet, but a few crits, more than the other characters. And you'll start to see these little icons that look like the critical heal artifact pop up, letting me know that my artifact is working. It's going to take a minute though. I mean, there's a sort of thing of balancing here. It's like, should it happen more often, but the heal should be smaller? Like, okay. So yeah, again, let's really just lean into my crit build as hard as I can. Crit and heal. So it wouldn't be a terrible idea to pick healing stuff. Because heals are going to happen often, meaning that if I can find another artifact which benefits from healing, which procs on a heal, that's going to be an OP build. You see that? Straight away balancing. I feel like either the chance should be... I feel like this isn't powerful enough. Like, I'm not feeling it. So I'm just going to go in straight away. We'll go critical heal. Go to where the thing happens. And we can say, Okay, so first of all, the heal is 10. And I think we can have a 50% chance. No, I just need to... Yeah. There we go. I'll put the O just so it's clear that this is a percentage. Okay. That won't take effect on this playthrough, but it might on the next one. Okay, shield bearer. I kind of feel like no. Let's just get a weapon. Because our sort of survivability is gonna come from our offensive power and our ability to do lots of attacks. Heal, damage, crossbow, heal, crossbow. Just get nice and offensive so that potentially, if I'm doing lots of attacks, I can heal my army. Because every time I get a critical hit, there's a chance that I'll heal my entire army by a small amount. There we go. Okay, let's pick the... Oh, heal and crossbow. I can't remember, because I don't know if I mentioned, but the other major thing I did was I made it so that I changed all the combos, and I can't actually remember what they all are. So heal plus crossbow is the scroll of inspiration. Okay, so that's probably going to be quite good. Yeah, let's do that. So we've got some survivability now. But you see how this, like... So before it would have been... I would have had the artifact which makes my guy stronger, but not my army. But that just sort of isn't what this game is about. This game is about... This game is about the army, not the hero. And to expect a build where the army and the hero... Like, in order to get that sort of crit proc build going, I not only have to have a build that focuses on crit, but I have to have a build that focuses on my hero character rather than my army, right? So I would need all kinds of survivability and whatnot that matches with that. Okay, why is looter... What is looter and rogue? I guess what I'll do is I'll just pick that because there's a combo. And also looters are fun. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, see, they're healing themselves with their crits, which is nice. And we've just got a subtle nudge towards... I'd like it to be a less subtle nudge, but right now we've got a subtle nudge towards having a build that relies on critical hits. So we just want to push that crit as high as it will go. Oh. Yeah, it's not easy. Okay, yeah. Level 4 soldiers should make a big difference. I wonder if the AoE of heal should be naturally larger. You know what? Let's not question that too much. Let's just pop in there, find heal. If I do heal with a, yeah, and then I think that AoE should start at 3, so that's quite a big jump. 3.2, yeah, 3. So there's another thing with the constants, right? Like rather than changing 4 numbers, I would just be changing 1. 3.6, so that's a decent chunky AoE, right? Oh, let's maximize this. Play maximized. There we go. Right, poison. See, that's not really crit. Let's just pick something we already have, and we'll pick because I want to wait and see what my next artifact's going to be. Let's get in there. Okay, so yeah, the lightning has a stun effect now. So lightning, because I think every element should have a debuff to make the debuff effects fair. And then I thought, what is the debuff for lightning? And it is a short, very short paralysis. I wonder if that's just very unpleasant for the character to experience that. I wonder if that's a bad idea. Let's see. Well, yeah, let's pick this. Because it's really annoying just being stopped in your tracks like that. But at the same time, maybe that's a feature, not a bug. Okay, Mage, Witch, Icicle. Let's just keep upgrading what we have. Get closer to those potential evolutions, those potential combos, as we see what our next artifact's going to be in 2, 1, and right. So buff heal, 10% chance to heal on buff, and if I buff someone, we heal everyone. And then buff mana. Every time I do a buff, the hero gets 1 mana. Anytime, and if I do a buff, so if anytime anyone buffs someone, they have a chance to give me mana. And if I buff someone, I'll get 5. So this one makes sense. This means that there's more heal that's going to happen. But we don't really have anything that's doing buffs. So this forces me into a position where my next pick, my next ally, needs to be the Bannerman. AoE is good. Yeah. So so this is going to have a difficulty proccing. There's another design question to think about. Should my artifacts that are available, there we go, Bannerman. Should I only have access to this artifact if I already have something that does buffs? That's kind of the way it works in Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, where you have to get the tag in order to access other things with that tag. And the way that you would get a tag that you don't already have is that these weapons will have more than one tag, right? So let's say I want to get something that has plasma damage. It's not going to give me any plasma damage related stuff until I've already got a plasma damage weapon. But there are weapons that are both plasma and light, for example, like a light plasma weapon. That'd be a plasma pistol. Because I've got something that buffs light weapons, I have access to this light plasma pistol, which now gives me access to plasma. It's just a way of making sure that you don't get entirely dead picks. But yeah, here we have a strategy here, an upgrade strategy. Now we have buffs, and when these characters buff people, yeah, they're doing some healing. Except it's healing the buffer. So that just feels bad. So I think... So I'm still just figuring these things out as I go. I think... So what was it? Buff, heal. I think it shouldn't heal the user. It should heal the target. The person who is buffed. Right? Yeah, so we add buff. So we don't heal the buffer. So it turns the buffer into a healer, which is really cool. Yeah. So we go there, buff heal. Buff heal. 10% chance to heal. And then hero heals all, or hero heals double. Double chance for hero. And then, so we go back to where this occurs. And then how did we do... Yeah, we just do it by the chance multiplier. Buff heal. Where's buff heal gone? Not debuff heal. Buff heal. So we do our chance multiplier. And it does not make a difference as to the outcome. So this means that when someone buffs someone, they have a chance to heal them, and when the hero buffs someone, they have an even higher chance to heal them. Okay. So already, like, we're playing an imbalanced run now. And I've just purely empowered these things, so I wouldn't be surprised if we lose this run. Just because we're sort of on the back foot a little bit, because this is kind of useless, because healing the buffer, that's not very useful. Healing the person who is buffed, that is useful. That's very useful. Like, that's game changing. So yeah, I think these kinds of upgrades are absolutely essential. Like, they've really just made the game better. Because now we have this interesting build that forms up. And it's exciting to see. I mean, if it was working a bit better, now with the change I've just made, I think it's exciting to see... it's exciting to see what it's going to be like when the bannerman will heal people with their buffs. Like, that's great. That's OP. But healing themselves is a bit boring and useless. So that's not optimal. Still, we seem to be smashing it. Okay, assassin, yes. And they've got 2 daggers, so they're going to be critting like crazy. And it's good to have these. I'd say this is a fairly early... Yeah, and they're just going to be keeping themselves alive with their crits. Bannerman, very good. What I need is crit. And yeah, so you see these builds start to form now, and there's lots of cool things that can happen that just will make your army OP. Here we go, crit rate. Yeah. I've changed this a bit so it doesn't just increase range, it increases range and projectile damage, which is useful. I think damage is probably fine. Yeah. Because it combos with something I have, so it's generally a good one. You see, look, my assassin's evading loads of attacks, but there's still quite a lot of enemies. But that's fine. Yeah, let's get that crit rate up. Oh, and it's time for a hit ultimate, which I've changed the button for. Oh, I need to add that to my log, to the dev log. Where's my dev log? Button ultimate changed to T. It was U for a second, but then you have to move your hand. But T means you don't have to move your hand. Ultimate. And here we go. Our assassins are doing great work. I kind of just want to examine how they're getting on. Attack speed is good because that just means they're going to be critting more often. Okay. Not looking great. Okay, and I really need to make sure I draw... I want to make the... I need to think about the fact that electrified stops you in your tracks for a little bit. Yeah, I guess it's probably fine. And yeah, my next ally pick should be someone who combines with the Bannerman. Yeah, crazy fun chaos. I feel like I mean, yeah, I've buffed the hell out of my artifacts here because I feel like they're not really as powerful as they should be. You've just got 1 minute to survive. Need to get that totem. I mean, at least I've got great survivability, right? Because I'm healing whenever I crit. Okay, yeah, let's get our priest going then, because he'll combine with this guy. Take this out, and this is actually great because I've got incredible survivability because I'm healing every time I crit, and I'm doing quite a lot of crits. And yeah, I should be keeping my army alive as well. So yeah, it's kind of working. The choices that I've made are impacting my playthrough significantly. I think Assassins is the absolute best thing I've got for this build. Oh, that's great. Okay, let's go for... Let's try and get this combo going. It's a shame that the Bannerman isn't healing people. Yeah, as long as I've got a big mush of enemies to fight. And it's, yes, because I've got this crossbow which like does all this, has all these shrapnel effects. It does a lot of crits. Okay, so now on kill meh, but on crit, so this just really means that critical hits, like I'm gonna get mana from critical hits. As you can see, that's already taking effect. I'm getting quite a lot of mana, and I need to kill this loot goblin, and my survivability is just fantastic. Because I've got high crits, because I've got weapons that do decent crit, and I've got critical heal, I'm staying alive quite effectively. I'm not invincible, but I'm pretty damn strong. Lovely. Lovely. The tide has turned. The tide has turned. So we survived that 10-minute mark. See, this... that's... This is the game working as intended. Exciting moment. We thought we were going to lose. And yeah, you can see my mana's just going up a little bit because we're doing a decent amount of critical hits. And yeah, these guys have like decent survivability because they're doing crits. Oh, more beans, yes please. Yeah, see, this is healing and buffing. Yeah, there we go. See, the game is so much better since I made these changes. Lovely, lovely, lovely. It's just like, it's that power rush. Look at all those orcs coming, but I have mana because I'm doing crits. And my guys are staying alive because they're doing crits. War beans assemble. Arise, beans of war. Shields shall be splintered. Ride now, ride for wrath. Once more into the breach. It's just on a random thing. Okay, so let's... I don't think any of these are particularly good picks. I would like something that combines with Icicle or Sword, but too late. So let's just get something that's more likely to proc crits. And as you can see, this army of assassins is unstoppable. Because they're healing on crit. Yeah, look at them. They're just not dying. They're getting their health back. So we've just got this army of unstoppable assassins. Like, this is great. I'm loving it. Army of unstoppable assassins. This is exactly how the game is supposed to be. So I don't know if we're too OP now, but that's fine. This is lots of fun. That's what you want. You want to feel ridiculously powerful. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And yeah, just this army of assassins that crit, that heal when they crit. Getting buffed. Once more into the breach and then we'll do special. Yeah. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Getting all of that level up. Oh, yes. Yeah, this is good shit. Lovely, lovely, lovely. For the human beings. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Oh. That army of assassins. This reminds me of like those guys in The Mummy. Like they were all kind of like hashashin against this army of mummies running at them. It's kind of blades, like, you know. This is cool. Hell yeah. Alright, yeah, the Bard. See, unfortunately, this buff heal isn't how it should be. But, you know, never mind. So the Bard buffs with the drum and heals as well. So with this artifact, that makes them like a healing monster. But I'm also a healing monster. I'm like, I cannot be killed because every time I'm buffing someone, I'm healing myself. You see that? So we are just I'm just a living mass of like a lawnmower. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I need to just spam this whenever I get it because every time anyone in my army crits, I have a chance to get mana, so it can happen and I've got the unit. I've got the unit that is the absolute master of critical hits because he's got 2 daggers. Shall we just get another rogue? I mean, we should get something that combines with the soldier, and then we can get a rogue. Let's do that. So we've still got 6 minutes before the game's over, but this is great. Oh yes! Oh, give me those points! Right, do we go for Paladin? The other thing that combines with the soldier is the shield bearer, but we really are like, we don't need more healers. So let's push for shield bearer. Shield bearer also doesn't really work for the build. I might just be better off picking the rogue again. Let's see. Let's do this for now. Attack speed synergizes. Give me that chest. The men will take care of this over here. Oh, wow. Ah! A sword day. A red day. Ere the sun rises. But we're not invincible, as you can see. Oh, look at that. Yeah, but those assassins. Like, this is the ultimate build for assassins to be really good. Okay. More bannermen, no. Scroll, yeah. For we are beings of the West. Arise, beings of war. Forth and fear no darkness. It's mostly Theoden. It's mostly just Theoden. Oh, yes, please. Okay. So, these are vengeful. These will proc when my guys die. Which isn't a build that I've, like, got. I don't have, like, anything that is summon related. And these would work well if you have something that causes summons to happen a lot. Or there are other factions, for example, the orcs have a weapon which launches goblins, which would mean you're going to have a lot of units. And of course the undead, their whole thing is having lots and lots of weak units. Well, that's one of the things that you can go for. It's not really applicable to us. Although Sean, this character's main ability, summons units. So both of these, any vengeful artifacts, are good for this character. So I just need to think, do I want the one that heals or the one that gives me mana? I think the one that gives me mana. And of course, for this specific character, that has a kind of feedback effect where, because I'm summoning you, because I get mana for summoning units, for having more units, and I get units. So like I summon units, they die, I get mana because they're dead, then I can summon more units. It's a feedback loop. Okay, let's pick... No, let's hold out for shield bearer. No, I think rogue. Let's just get more rogues. Because I'm probably not going to be able to make that combo. Yeah, and just having the crossbow. One of the things about the crossbow is it does a lot of hits. Because it like pierces and then shrapnels and stuff. So it like every shot with the crossbow does about 6 or 7 hits potentially. Which one of them is likely to crit. Especially if I've got crit. Yeah. Very nice. Da! Can you tell that I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings? Lord of the Rings is the best series of films ever made. It's not even close. Not even close. Peter Jackson is the best filmmaker alive. Or ever in history. Throughout all of history. And probably for a while to come. Wow. So yeah, these bards and assassins are fighting against these absolute walls of enemy units. And we summon more. And we push in. So recently we've had a lot of buffs to the player in the forms of these artifacts and whatnot. So I think I need to start buffing the enemy a bit. Oh, a purple chest. Okay, yeah, now we're starting to get magic beams. Because there's no more combos that can be made. Wait, can't I combine armor and... yeah, I should have more combos available. I need to check that. Yeah, spiked armor. So now all my units, in addition to everything else that was happening, whenever they get hit, they will damage their attacker. So we are just super powerful. Lovely, lovely, lovely. A little bit, slight dips in performance to be expected. There is more optimization I can do. This is definitely better than it was before. But also I think it would run a lot better if I was not playing it out of Unity and if I also wasn't streaming as well. It's kind of roughly how, what's that game called? Oof! Oh no, that's bad though. Kind of roughly how Rogue Genesia plays on my PC. So that's kind of my bar. But yeah, little bit of performance issues. I mean, I've got like a 2 GB RAM, something like that. It's not great. But yeah, we are really feeling the performance now. And I think I know why. I think it's because of the amount of buffs that are popping off. And I think that's probably it, because we've got so many bards. They are... because buffs are expensive. Because buffs are like, get me everyone in the radius. And if there's a lot of people in the radius, then that's a lot of calls. That's, you know, that's going to be expensive for the computer. Oof, though. Really, really nasty. Oh, yeah, and we've got this bug that's come up. Another bug. So, yeah, this game is not finished. It's not ready to release yet. Sometimes, when I make a combo upgrade, it doesn't consume the thing. So, look, we've lost spiked armor now. Right? We've lost spiked armor. So I need to look into that. I did have it on my list and I couldn't replicate, but maybe it only happens with spiked armor, or only with some of them, and it could be something to do with the fact that the word armor is in there, which makes sense. It shouldn't be like that, but there might be something of like, we're just checking for the word armor. So it could be that. I think it's that. And also... fundamental thing with buffs. So there's an issue where... So for one thing, buffers are expensive. And if for whatever reason I ended up with an army of lots and lots of buffers, which I have now, it tanks the system. Because we've got a lot of bards, and the reason the bards are still alive is because they are healing every time they buff someone. But even then, that for whatever reason, we could end up with a lot of buffers. And actually, having lots of buffers doesn't... doesn't make things better, or it doesn't because they're all just buffing the characters around them. Like it doesn't make much difference. So what if they did a single target, or you could do things like they could buff slower, but to counterbalance, the buff could last longer. So they would buff every 8 seconds to give an 8-second buff rather than 4 seconds for a 4 seconds buff. I'm gonna do a quick look at the, because yeah, that is just too slow, and I think the culprit is buffs. So let's press play for a bit. It's gonna go even slower now because I have the profiler open. I mean, I don't know if buffs would work better with like an on-trigger enter and on-trigger exit thing, so that they don't have. So yeah, no, that's too much. So there's a lot of physics. So what I can do now. Yeah, this is too slow. And it's not always like this. Usually it's not like this. I think it's because we have so many buffers. It's not even registering my pause. Eesh. Right. So it's not even, doesn't even fit. Can we have more space for that, please? Hello? Why can't I stretch that out? So that is down to 15, and so this dark blue is the scripts. And then the physics is like, that's to be expected. I can do things like kind of turn off physics when there are too many units, which other games have done. But I think what's happening is it's these buffs. These buffs are causing the thing to slow down, and basically there's no way around that. So what the buff does is it is going to, I mean, it's just a magic attack, right? And it's just a big, very wide AoE that hits a lot of units. So for the fireball, it's not so bad because it's not that big. But buffs should work differently. So the way that buffs should work is probably like maybe an on-trigger enter thing. So it's not even doing a move. It's just that when a character has a buff as a weapon, anyone who's close to them will get that buff. But it's still a bit tricky. Is that it? I think that's it. I mean, unfortunately with the profiler. So yeah, if it wasn't for that, I mean, it would still be spiking bad, but just not that bad. And I think the rest of the time would have time to catch up. I mean, animation, physics, rendering. Rendering, there's not much we can do about. Physics is like, I can sort of turn off physics if there are too many people on the screen, but that could go badly, right? Because then everyone could blob into a single space. I could reduce physics in general. As in, people have complained that you can't walk through your own units, but I'm sort of like, that's a feature, not a bug. But those people would be pleased if we could just turn that off. The physics is happening when there's lots of units clashing. And then, of course, we've got this garbage dump thing, which is basically any time I've done a bad bit of code where instead of having a stored variable that is declared when a script is made, I'll sort of say, oh, here's a new vector3. And then it's like, okay, well, now we've used that vector3, we can throw it away. When what I should do is have it stored somewhere. But really, this dark blue is a kick in the nuts to me because that's telling me that my code is bad. And then we've got others, which is why it gets so bad. But others is, this is like basically, this is Unity running, right? This is basically Unity. From my experience, that's basically just Unity running. And the profiler itself, like the thing that is showing me all of this data. So if we go over to scripts, player loop, move next. So what is this? Physics, UI. So there isn't one of these like specifically for scripts. It's like the player loop, I think is like... Oh, hello. Have we crashed? I think we've crashed. Disappointing end to this run that was really, really fun. Hello, hello, hello. Like nothing's happening. Why are you freaking out? Here we go. Right. So audio, video, physics. Yeah, so we don't have one of these that's specifically for scripts. So it's hard to know which script, but I'm gonna wager that it is to do with buffs. Because or just basically having a whole bunch of these AoE attacks getting spawned in, and it's like, okay, so here's what happens with the AoE effect. We go, we do this, we get overlapping colliders, and then for each of those hits, so for each of the things that have been within that space, we do a thing. The issue is that that's a lot of that's a lot of things that are going to be caught in that space. So it's almost like doing a game object.find, because within each of these, oh, for God's sake, okay, I'm going to turn the profiler off because that is killing us, because we know. Oh, just press that. Close this window, please, because I think it's killing the game. Because we've just got so many units, and they're finding all of these colliders. I think I got rid of the colliders on the items. But they're like finding all the things in the collider and then running this script. So for each, and we've got the on trigger enter, which actually does the damage, but we do our attack, which basically checks for shields. And again, like, we probably should have this stored so we don't say, here's a new weapon container called shield. We should have that stored up here somewhere. And then we do the whole thing about the mirror blade, and then we do the whole thing about the deflector, and we've got the on trigger enter, which I think is its own thing. I mean, it's not crazy. It's not too much stuff in there. But I think if we're doing that on like 50 things, like basically every frame, yeah, that's gonna cause issues. In addition to the heals that are happening, like I think there's our problem. So I reckon I can improve performance drastically by so this bloody issue with the I think spiked armor. I think it's spiked armor is the culprit. Oh, there's our foot of death. We're surviving quite a while with the foot. Okay, that was lucky. Right. So yeah, we killed nearly 10,000 orcs. That's about right for a sort of Helm's Deep type experience. It's pretty cool. In 20 minutes. Yeah, just right at the end, right when things got really crazy, the performance took a massive nosedive. So I need to think about how to counterbalance that. Like, what's the best solution to that? Okay, well, for the starters, excuse me, put a note, optimize buffs. And I can have a good think about what's the best way to do that. I'm not going to jump in and start doing that now because that's kind of drastic changes. I can do little things like say, well, maybe if there's too many characters on screen, I ought not to... Like, they can just wait, right? Like, but that's kind of doing an exception. It's like going through each hit and hits. Like, I can go over to my AoE effect. So we have our drum effect. So yeah, that does a thing. And we can say weapons, drum, and the AoE is 15. But what if the AoE was just a bit smaller? Because that was about as intense as it's going to get. I mean, what if we wanted to make it more intense? Like, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one to figure out how exactly to make that better. Because I think it's this. I think it's for each hit and hits, and there's just a lot of things that got hit. I think that's basically what it is. So I'm going to optimize buffs. That's on the list. Okay. What else did I want to talk about? So yeah, sometimes you just need to play the game to remind you that it's good. And yeah, I believe that has been achieved. I need to optimize buffs. That's just a different thing. Like, I could say there's lots of ways you could like softly do it. Like you could say, let's make buffers spawn in slower but have higher HP. But you could still end up in a scenario where the buffers where you just got too many buffers on screen. It could still happen. And then people's and again, bear in mind that things got pretty bad there, but not for that long. It was really only like the last 30 seconds where we really just throw a ridiculous amount of enemies at the player that it became a problem. And most people, most modern computers are not going to have that issue. But what if someone wants to play it on their laptop? I mean, there's also one of the options, you can turn the amount of units down so that generally you have fewer at a time. We could, for example, so we have our drummers and they actually have something called max units. Do they? They used to. Where basically we could say that buffers specifically, so drummers, bannermen, bards, totems, have less Do we have that? Character spawn limit. No. Cap. No. So we could say that there is. We make a smaller amount of buffers. So I need to go away and think about how best to deal with that. And then we've got this bug where combos weren't consuming both prerequisites. It's possible that it was the spiked armor that was causing the slowdown. So yeah, I need to figure... So optimization. Okay. So the next thing on my list is, yeah, so I've got this bug here. I'll just make this a bit bigger so you can see it. I've got this bug here, which I need to investigate and figure it out, where basically talents were kind of overriding each other. And I do think spiked armor is the culprit. It's something to do with having the word armor, which is the same as one of our existing things, where it's just not, for whatever reason, it's not consuming, like it's just not working right. And then optimize buffs. Those are two heavy hitting things which I need to really sit down and think. As for things where I don't need to sit down and think too much, so there's frost and there's artifacts which apply specifically to flame and frost. There is no such artifact that relates to lightning, which makes lightning de facto worse. Just because there's no... I mean, it makes it objectively worse just because there's no parity there, right? It's because you're not going to get an artifact to boost it. So I need to add an artifact that's specifically for lightning, and also an artifact specifically for when something is blocked. I just think that's cool. It leans into a build. It means, okay, so every time something's blocked, something will happen. And like the same with all the others, every time I block something, I'm healed. Every time I block something, I get a buff. Every time I block something, I explode or repel the attack, for example. And then I also need to put in a new thing for artifacts, which is... So if we go to... Where do we actually make... an artifact? So name, descriptions, rarity, unlock, whether we've got it or not, and then we want a public list. Should be a list of strings. Yeah, list string excluded factions. New list string. Yeah. So this will do for now. We could do that whole tag system from Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, but I don't think that's needed. But we do want excluded factions so that we can say that, for example, the orcs will never have access to frost. So to offer them an artifact that procs on frost is wrong. The undead can never heal. So they need to have entirely different artifacts just for reviving rather than healing. But that's for later. So every artifact has an excluded faction. Or it may have excluded factions. It may not. So critical summon won't. Killer won't. They're useful for anyone. Useful for anyone. Okay. So holy ones. Will all have excluded. Wait, I remember how to make. This is something I learned on this project. Is just creating a list. Yeah, names equals new list, and then you just do open close brackets. So artifacts. Excluded factions equals new list string, and that would just be black beans. And then before I go through each faction and add that, I need to say that when so generate options. I got an AI to help me with this code, just because it's quicker than figuring it out myself. But I want to say this is gibberish. Generate artifact buttons. Okay, so this is the buttons. This is actually creating it. So artifact unlocked, and if we don't already have the artifact, but we also want to say if artifact dot, I don't know if this is the right spot, but the artifact dot excluded factions dot contains, and how do we get the, player do we have one for the player? So GM dot player dot C dot player dot faction dot names in English. So if my player's faction is excluded, break. What's the else? For each artifact in available artifacts, if it's unlocked, what's available artifacts? Okay, so it's a list that we can like remove from. Huh. God, this is like weird AI code. But if a selected artifact in available artifacts, so what do? I say if artifact is unlocked, so this is the artifact unlocked? Like, do we have access to it? Do we and we don't already have it, and the artifact excluded factions doesn't contain the faction that we're using. Yeah, okay, so let's do that. Right, that works. Whew. I expect that to work. We'll see if it does. So now I want to go through the existing artifacts that we have and make sure. So yeah, all of these that are holy do have an exclude list. Also, I think they all need to have that list, because otherwise it's going to return null. Because it's going to get to this bit in the script. It's going to get to, where was it? Artifact UI. Oh, where's it gone? Artifact UI. Oh, having problems with the stream. Reconnection successful. Everything alright with the stream? Just got a couple notifications from OBS. Okay, so if Yeah, so if we get to this and it will say, does... I could say, does excluded factions exist? But there's no need. I think it's easier just to say... do we have this here? Prereqs upgrades. Because there are some upgrades that don't have prereqs, but we still need to just do an open close brackets. Because for the same reason that, like, if we ask for an upgrades prerequisites and it doesn't have any, but there's an empty list, it will return null. And I think it's just easier just to go through and add empty lists for each of the ones. So that's a bit of a job, but let's do it. It's going to be boring. But this is, I think, easier than going and asking if the list exists. Maybe we should just ask it. Well, I've started now. This is probably more time consuming, but doesn't require me to be as intelligent. It doesn't require me to think as much. I just go, right, okay, they've all got this list. And some of them and most of them are empty. Rather than asking if the list exists before. Although before I do this, I'm going to see if that's even a problem. Because I think they might actually all have an empty list by default anyway. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how that works. They're all going to have an empty list anyway. But yeah, so the Holy Explosion ones do have this. They will have this line. Yeah. So, yeah. There we go. So yeah, undead will not have access to these. I mean, we're not quite there with the undead yet. We're not doing them yet. We still have things to fix with the main game. But chicken exists for all factions, I think, at the moment. Ultimates exist for all factions. Damage type Flaming Death. It should not be available to the Black Beans because they don't have fire. Frostbite should not be available to the Green Beans. Big Pierce is fine. Yeah, everyone has ranged weapons. Big Chain. Big Melee. And then we're going to add this one for Electrified. Okay. Are we happy with Electrified as a buff? That's an artifact, the tool. Sorry, that's a debuff placed by doing lightning damage? I think so. So this has happened. And we don't need to make this list. Good, okay. One thing off the list. So this is a simple one. Add artifacts. So let's do this lightning one first. Frostbite. And we will say Electric Boogaloo. I don't know what to call it. I'll just call it that for now. Literally, that I did not think about that before I wrote it. This is the name of the artifact, Electric Boogaloo. It's within the sort of tone of humor of the game. Electric Boogaloo. Electrified. Paralyzes enemies or twice as long. Oof, but that's going to be tricky to do. Okay, never mind. It's fine. And this one is not available to the human beings because humans don't have access to lightning magic. Flaming Death, Frostbite, and Electric Boogaloo. Okay. And so then we need to find the point where we add buff, which is on character. This applies to buffs and debuffs, and we say, so yeah, check if buff already exists. Buff procs. Yeah. So we've got all the debuff ones, and then we'll also add in all the buff ones and all the debuff ones. And if it's a debuff, I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's a debuff because it always will be a debuff, but we say if, just copy this whole thing, if contains Electric Boogaloo, there is no chance this will always happen. This will apply to, this doesn't just apply to the player. Make item burst of Electric Boogaloo. People are going to think it's a Civil War reference, but it's not. It's just a Electric Boogaloo. If you think of the word electric or electrified, the next word that naturally comes to mind is Boogaloo. We need to, I'm going to add this here, talents, artifacts, just to remind me to draw it. Electric Boogaloo, and also the block artifacts, which I haven't really got a name for yet, but let's see. And so we make the item burst. Most of it is actually gone there. If then the and then so we add the buff. So buff value, and then we also, because so buff value can be modified by the double buff or double debuff thing, but we also need float buff time equals buff dot time, and then when we go ahead and add that buff value, buff time, so we just remove the full stop there, and it can be modified, so Electric Boogaloo buff time times equals 2. That should work. Okay. And now it's fair because orcs have access to it, because otherwise it's just unbalanced, because lightning, like all magic, does a debuff. That should be true. So that means that, because it would just mean that like a debuff based artifact would be less powerful for orcs, because orcs have, and undead for that matter, you know. I mean, it could be fine. We can always remove this, but now that it's there, we have that option. Okay, and now we add artifacts for when an attack is blocked. So we say on debuff, and we've got a new one, and I always copy from crit, because crit has like all of the examples, and then we go on block, and I'm going to go to the toilet while I think of what we should call the block debuff. If anyone's there, tell me what it should be called. I'm streaming, by the way.
Oh, dear.
Ugh. Oh, yeah. Some spicy food yesterday. Right, okay. So on block, I'm thinking like stalwart. So we would go like... What does stalwart actually mean? Loyal, hardworking. Adjective for someone who blocks attacks. Defensive, shielding, guarding, guarded, withstanding, stoic. I like stoic. What was stoic in Final Fantasy X? I think that was the one that would give you, like, every time you got hit, you would get something. So yeah, let's call it stoic. So stoic summon, stoic heal, holy stoic. So holy means holy crit is like when you crit, you would heal everyone, but we've kind of changed that. So let's just not bother with that for now. Because it was like there was holy, which meant heal everyone, and then there was heal, which meant heal yourself, but they're one and the same now. Good block. I mean, we could have like an artifact which causes the block to occasionally mirror attacks. So we could say stoic explosion, and stoic reflect. Stoic reflect, not reflection. And then stoic buff, stoic mana, stoic reset, which could be insane, but that makes sense, and stoic rain, which isn't really rain was an old thing. It would be like creates a random like hail of meteors or arrows or icicles, but I found it didn't really fit the game. For some reason it just never felt good, because it would either be targeted like on a specific spot, in which case it's OP, or it would be like in a random spot, in which case it's kind of like it doesn't feel good. So okay, on block, and then so again we will just copy our critical ones and just change the name. We're not worrying about translations for now, because otherwise everything would just take too long. Just wait till it's all done. So we say stoic, and we just take the word critical for now and change it to stoic. That gets a lot of them done. And then we go back down here, stoic summon on block. Let's not worry about the numbers just now. Let's just get the text right on block. So crit should become block. Let's get rid of that one. And then we can just have a quick think about how likely are we to block versus crit. So the assumption is that if a crit is far more likely, you know I'm streaming, Cyrus.
Yeah.
Do you want to say hello to the internet?
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
Hello. You're going to be on YouTube, Cyrus. Okay. Summon random ally on block. So yeah, so let's say a crit is 1 unit of chance. But crits will likely to happen if you're doing it properly, likely to happen. I think it's probably about the same. Because like basically if blocks are going to happen like half as often, if they're half as difficult to proc, we should have double the chance when it happens.
Come down, let's play.
But I think it's about the same.
Come, let's play. Okay, let's do it. Come.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll keep those chances the same, and we'll just kind of tweak it as we go. And then we've got Stoic Explosion, Stoic Reflect. So Stoic. Where were they? Just to keep the order consistent. After heal. So we have Stoic. Explosion. Stoic Reflect. The Reflect is going to be annoying. But I think it's like interesting and spicy enough. It's like if I've got an army of... If I've got an army of shield bearers, like they can now reflect attacks and it could be quite spectacular. That's like a winning combo, right? Stoic Reflect. But it's just, this is going to be difficult to code. So like I try and rule it out as a design idea before committing it to code, because there's a chance that I'll spend quite a while getting it to work. Could be really quick, could take ages. There's a chance I'll spend quite a while getting it to work, only for it to not actually end up in the game, which would be a bit annoying. Well, and then let's just find other instances of explosion and see what. So holy explosion. Every time someone's healed, they might create an explosion. See, I actually think that one's a bit weird. Like when I saw it, it was really fun. It was like whenever I was healing people, they like sometimes exploded, and it was quite fun to see. Stoic explosion. And it's kind of like you could just say, so the easy way would be like there's a chance like they all get like spiked armor basically, but I think the explosion is much more fun. Again, thinking about that issue of buffs being expensive, this could be a problem if they're like buffing quite a lot because they're getting hit a lot but they're blocking a lot. We'll see. I think I really need to tidy up that code of like, how do we detect a block? How do we detect a mirror effect? Because it's sort of all over the place at the moment. Like, I repeat myself. I break the cardinal rule of repeating myself, because every time something is blocked, every time we want to do the logic of checking if something has been reflected, it's copy pasted. I don't have a universal code for check if my opponent has a mirror. And then, of course, it will be different in each case, because for an AoE effect, it's like, oh, okay, we'll reverse the AoE effect and send it back to the user. But for in projectile, it's bounce the projectile back and change the shooter. But we could have a universal for, like, check if this character has a block or a mirror, and then it would come out with two balls. So I'm going to write that down just to make it really clear and break up the task for myself. So I don't have add this. It's like clean up code for checking blocks and reflects, right? And we have this artifact for when something is blocked. And at the moment, so like, let's look in AoE effect. Blocked. Yeah, this is messy. Shield. So we check for a shield. Is there a shield? And is there not a shield? And we actually do the whole check. And then that also happens on a projectile. And that also happens on a chain attack. Like, we do it in each case. So I need to tidy that up. So these are some chunky tasks for me to do. Clean up code for checking blocks and reflects. And then so I could just, like, I could make my life really easy right now on that front by taking this artifact and saying, oh, okay, we have blocked. Do the block thing. Trigger block artifacts. But then I would have to copy and paste it into each case. So I would have to copy and paste it into the projectile. Wait, didn't I just... Yeah, I'd have to copy and paste it here as well. And what I ought to do is just have a universal code, which is like check for shield. And then return with like an int. If it's 0, no shield has been found. If it's 1, then a shield has been found. Return 0 for no shield. Return 1 for shield. Return 2 for mirror. And then that's where we would put the code that asks whether we've blocked or not. Okay. And then with that, we've sort of got our game going. Like, everything's fine. And there's lots of balancing to do. As you saw, like, as I play, I realised that some of these numbers are totally wrong, or even fundamentally some of these artifacts are just not working as intended, as expected, or as they should. And but then in theory, we've got a fun game where you can fight the orcs and the orcs can fight the humans. And then we just need to add the next faction, which we've added. It's all there. It's just... There's a few concepts that I need to program, which are the weapon features. which I'll put here as a separate thing. Yeah, I mean, I've got that as a separate thing. So it's like program weapons kind of leads to this. Weapon features. These new concepts that don't... So, like, obviously making Chaos Hammer is just a hammer with different stats and a different sprite. But Resurrection, the Staff of Resurrection, that fundamentally does something new for the game. Sacrifice fundamentally is like, I am going to target an ally and do damage to them and then heal myself. Right? Again, I don't know if that's a good idea for this game, but I want to try it out. But the point is that these... And reverse knockback, like, does it work? So, you know, you have the Kusari, I think, where it's like... Or a chain where I'm gonna, or the impaler. So these weapons have reverse knockback. So rather than pushing someone away, they pull them towards you. And I just put a reverse, like a negative value on the knockback. Will that just work out of the box, or do I have to do some special exception? And then Resurrection is like that doesn't plug into any existing code. So I have to code in, find me a nearby unit that died, find me someone that died, and revive them, right? Which is totally new. And revive them as a skeleton. Like, that's quite a big thing. Yeah, so unholy artifacts. Oh yeah, there's the idea of making lightning yellow, because at the moment it's light blue. This would have been the thing of, and this is a bug that we have listed up above. Yeah, make lightning yellow is a question. And I think the answer is yes. Because at the moment it's light blue and it just ends up looking too similar to Frost. So it should be yellow rather than blue. And then we've got our like primary colors. And then with all of that done, and then do these sprites for the existing game, and then do these sprites for all the new content, and then program in these new features for Staff of Resurrection, Sacrifice, the Bear Helmet, Consume, things like that, and add the artifacts for when something is revived rather than healed. That would have every faction other than Undead on their exclude list, and then design at least one hero for each faction, but then just kind of design the heroes, add the heroes into the game. Then we're basically there. And in theory, this could take less than a month to do all of this. And then I want to do stuff like add story. I need to change the name of the game. And I need to have a think about overhauling the art. Or at least finding ways to make the game more attractive and doing key art and things like that. So there's a lot of things here which are not easy, and they don't all slot together so well. So I just need to hack at the ones that I can do, hack at the ones that I think are doable, and then, take things off the list so that the few things that remain on the list are like easier to manage, easier to think about. And then, 2-3 months to finish the game, maybe. That sounds about right. Okay. And this is my list. This is my next list. This is the things I'm going to tackle next. Check in box and reflects, optimize buffs, find a way to make that easier. And I'm just going to attack it in whatever order. And I might just do the drawing first just to get that out of the way. Just so really I just end up with the few really nasty things on my list and I'll hit them hard. sort of when I feel strong enough to. Yeah. Okay. All right. I feel a little bit overwhelmed with all of that, but the achievement today is that I have figured a lot of stuff out. So I'm going to wrap up this session with another playthrough. And I'll do fully random so I don't know which hero, I guess I should play as the orcs, because I feel like the orcs aren't as good as the humans, and I'm not sure exactly why. It's hard to tell. I don't really have, because it could just be that I got the wrong picks or something. It could be that I wasn't playing properly. It could be that just the orcs are fundamentally not as good as the humans. So let's pick the orcs in the same place. And let's, yeah, in the same circumstances, because the last one I absolutely stomped it as Sean. So let's see if I can kind of have the same luck as Orko, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. Okay. Oh, we straight away get Stoic Explosion. Oh, damn it. So those buffs exist. Wait, let me just before we do that, let's just turn those off. Because we haven't put them in yet. We haven't programmed them in, so they're not going to work. We've made them, but we haven't, so they can still come up as options. Oh, and then, yeah, Stoic block art, yes, Stoic artifacts. Lots to do. And now I'm back from my sort of short hiatus and very clear on what to do next. Yeah. Okay. So, Pierce or... See, actually, Pierce isn't very good for the green beans because they don't have as many ranged weapons. So let's do... Wait, hold on. Killer reset. That's not the right text. 50% chance to reset. Kill. Double chance for hero. So straight away running into issues. Okay. And what is the actual... Just to double check that. Okay, so the chance is 0.5, not 50. So I don't know what happened there. Damages at reset. Oh, okay. So when the hero does it, they reset everyone's attacks. Okay, yeah, all right, that works. So, yeah, hero resets all allies. And it's a 50% chance on kill to... So I think that should be like 10. Because that could be insane. It's like if you kill 10 people in one hit, and then you hit again, you kill another 10 people, and then, you know, which is fun, that's cool, but you just have to be careful with those numbers. Alright. So straight away... Like, lots of balancing to do. As I said, like, a lot of these artifacts are, like, newly remade. And it's... Yeah, it's going to be a trick to kind of get these numbers right and to get these effects right. Like, yeah, resetting for your whole army, that could be OP, that could be kind of useless. I think that's good. I mean, reset is like, is that actually rewarding anything in particular? No, but it's also universal. So obviously like burning explosion where the enemy explodes if they're on fire. That's very specific. You have to have specifically fire in your army, but it's very powerful. But the reset is like, it's not very specific, but that's kind of a good thing. I don't know. Let's see how we get on. I mean, I'm trying to get just like all of this stuff done so that I can just like get all this, like, before I get into this game of like balancing everything and making it fine-tuned and work perfectly. I just want to get the fundamentals down. So I'm kind of just doing them as I see them. Oh no, I died. I wasn't paying attention to my health bar. Yeah, a bit of a skill curve there, but yeah, you do have to pay attention to what's going on. So the axe user needs to kind of stand back a bit. Should we go for chicken build? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the axe does very good damage, very good AoE, but has a long cooldown. I think the axe should do more damage. $16, $20, $24, $28. Let's... Yeah, so that, like I said with my constants, that's high damage. So I think that's fine. But is it too slow? Compared to like the scimitar, attack speed 1.1, 2.9. So axe is 2.4, 2.3, 2.2, 2.1. I don't know. Let's see. See, balancing is like, I think what was it? The Marvel Rivals devs put it best when they said balancing is a journey, not a destination. Thing is, I don't intend to spend the rest of my life. This isn't a live service game. I want it to just be balanced when it comes out. But in terms of like you just have to be in for the ride. Okay, so we have chicken buff. So I would say Goblin, because he's going to collect chickens for me. Not a strong synergy, but still a synergy. And yeah, so I can fight these big packs, and you can see it's actually not that hard. It's just I need to stand back while my axe is cooling down. Okay, boomerangs, fireball. Well, let's pick the one that I have a synergy for, that has a combo with what I've got. And so Orko's ultimate ability is to his weapon cooldown becomes like 0 for 4 to 5 seconds. I can't remember how long exactly. Meaning that he actually benefits quite a lot from just having weapons, because if he's got his ultimate ability on, he will just mow down a pack of enemies. So he becomes a weapon-focused character. Okay, so still chicken. Yeah. And so we want luck. So how do we synergize with chicken? We want luck. But there's also a thing. There's also a talent called Reign of Chicken, which periodically spawns chickens, which I believe is range plus rations. I believe that's what it is. So, well, luck is good for that. So luck, definitely. More chickens will drop. Yeah. I mean, that's insider knowledge, knowing how to get my rations. Yeah, I definitely need to. How do I? What should be like the visual for when someone is electrified? I wonder. They're stunned for a second. I mean, ideally we would have the little skull, but then is everyone gonna have the skull? Yeah, like let's do. Let's just add that to the things we should draw now. Electrified. Just like they kind of, you sort of see their skeleton, like a sort of cartoon electrification. Okay, we are getting whooped. So what's going on there? Are the humans just plainly better than the orcs? Is there some like fun... But that seems a lot better. Are they just fundamentally like better in terms of stats? Did I make the goblins too weak or something? So, I mean, that's a balancing note. Check stats of green beans versus human beans. Because as far as I know, they're like basically the same. So why do I have a much easier time? I guess I should have been picking more allies, but let's commit to a build. Because it just seems there's like a lot of them. Is it because like, so the way it works is the orcs spawn in slower, but they're like better? I don't know. Let's get orcs. I mean, I've got, like, I'm okay. I'm surviving because I can kind of run away from the enemies. And I got these big old AoE attacks. So it's kind of working. Yeah, it just feels like they're just not as good. Yeah, like orc just isn't that much better than a human. So let's do like, because like orcs are bigger, but like yeah, lower. But then they're lower orc HP, but raise spawn rate. I think. Because for how infrequently the orcs spawn, I did just see like it kind of had trouble against a single soldier. It would be so much easier if I just made them basically the same. But I like having this thing that, like, we've got our goblins and our big strong orcs, but it just seems like they're spawning quicker, like they're tougher. I just have a much harder time playing as the orcs. Okay. Okay, so we've got more stuff that is chicken related. So let's get that. And we really need to start seeing those chickens drop. Okay. Range, yeah. We need to get those chickens going. Going for a kind of expert-ish build, I guess. Yeah, tricky. I mean, this one's particularly bad. I just don't know why I'm having a much rougher time as the orcs than as the humans. Damn it, I'm dead. Oh no, we will live a bit longer. I mean, I guess I've got the chicken artifact, which kind of doesn't come into play just yet, because it's a bit early to be frequently dropping chickens. Oh dear. No, I was close. Damn it. Why is it so much harder as the orcs? Why is it so much harder as the orcs? I don't know. I mean, of course I can level up a bit, but I want... Like, I just had a run where I played as Sean and I absolutely stomped the enemy. So why am I not stomping the enemy as the orcs? Like, what is so much worse about the orcs? Is it just this, like, early axe game? Like, I can't get my army going because the axe is just fundamentally like a work. Like, axe is great for, like, big groups, but at this early stage, you need something that's a bit faster. No, I feel like... I feel like straight away, like, the goblins are spawning in slower, or they're not as strong, or something. Like... but I don't know what. Like, straight away. Like, are soldiers spawning in faster than goblins? Are soldiers fundamentally better than goblins? If so, spawn more goblins. Like, the spawn rate of the goblins should be higher than... Okay, so we have reset, killer reset, so we don't need characters that have high attack speed. Yeah, see, that soldier just took out the zapper pretty easily. I mean, it's kind of supposed to happen. Like, we're just getting wrecked. Yeah, it's probably something really silly. Like, I guess like the rogues are better than the wargs. So maybe we can change that. Weapon killer reset. Reset. Okay, let's get heal. Just trying to keep this one shaman alive. Yeah, I don't know. I think this artifact would probably be a bit more powerful. But all this healing, but like no one to heal, so that's not good. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they're so much better, but it's starting to bother me. Okay, let's get more weapons. Kill that goddamn healer. Boomerang's just fun. So yeah, it's got lots of weapons which suits the hero that I've got. And what are the chances on this killer reset? Killer reset. Because I think they should be higher. 10%. Let's bump that up to 25. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay. Yeah, nice slow fighter. The big old club. Damn it! Damn it! That's not fun at all. Yeah, like, why are they so much worse? So, like, first thing is, like, let's just have a look at what is a... so we've got human beings and we've got our soldier. So he's got 20 HP, 20, 30, 40, 50. And the goblin, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, so now let's look at the scimitar. And is there anything about spawn rate on them, or is that... Spawn interval, that's the one. Spawn interval. Goblin, 4. Soldier, 4. Okay. So let's look at weapons. Scimitar. 8, 12, 16, 20. Crit rate though. It's got crit rate though. And then the sword. 10, 14, 18, 22. But without the crit rate. I mean, so that could be it. Because basically, like, you want your so you want your start to be as even as possible, because crit rate's all well and good, but like I want the scimitar to not be just a sword again, right? Let's just hide everything else so we can easily scroll between them. So there's our sword. 10, 14, 18, 22. 8, 12, 16, 20. Like, that's not that much difference. Okay, speed. 1. Yeah, so 1.1 and so we have 1.1, and so it's the same. Range. Okay, that's odd. So the range stays the same. And for the sword, the range goes up a bit each time. So let's have the range just be like 1.9, 2.1, 2.3, 2.5. So the top range of the sword is 2.6. Okay. And the damage can be 9, just so it's not exactly the same, but basically is the same. 11, 15. That's not right. 9, 13. No, come on. It goes up 4 each time. So 11 to 9, 13. I'm terrible at maths. 9, 13 plus 4 is 13. 10 plus 12 plus 4 is 16. So 13 plus 4 is 17. 17 and 21. Okay. Attack speed is the same. AoE 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. And for the so we go 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, 1.8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Let's do the same. But like 1 less. 2, 1.3, 1.5, 1.7. And then the crit rate. So they've got a 5% crit rate. So we can go 5, 10. I know the 0 is redundant, but this makes it easier to read. 15. So that's quite a lot. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's leave crit rate. Just because crit rate's like a very specific thing that you kind of have to ask for. So damage is slightly less. Attack speed is the same. Range is the same, but slightly less. Wait, how do we go from... Yeah. Range is the same, but slightly less. Like, the sword should be kind of balanced in all stats a bit. And then AoE is slightly less. Goes up by 2 each time. Knockback, 20, 25, 30, 30, 35. I realize I don't want the fourth one to be like much better. So 20, 25. Yeah, so that's the same. So the scimitar Is that obviously plainly worse? But if we did say that it has crit, I don't see why it would have crit though. I would say that it has better attack speed. So if the sword is 1.1, we start here at 1, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7. So we end up being a bit faster. The range is the same, or a bit lower. And basically it should be the same weapon. The Goblin Ranger uses the exact same bow as the Ranger, but let's just double check. The Ranger. 20, 30, 40, 50. And the Ranger 20, 30, 40, 50. So why does it feel like the orcs are just so now that that's fixed, like, because I guess that damage difference was pulling a lot of weight. Like a goblin, I mean, we could do something like the goblins are like fundamentally less good than the humans, but their spawn rate is higher. Well, we'll do this run, then we'll call it there. Right. To gain a random buff on crit and chance for enemies to explode when they're on fire. Okay, let's do that, and let's pick Firestarter and Fireball. Yeah, see, we're just losing. Even though I'm, like, helping. And then how does an orc do? Yeah, like an orc is strong. Orc does big business. But, like, it's this trade-off of the axe being high damage, high AoE, but slow. And the orcs themselves having more HP than their goblin counterparts, but spawning in at a lower rate. Okay, Fireball. 100%. We might have to increase, what is it, 50% chance. Wait, can I? Right click. Upgrade open in the encyclopedia. Okay, now we're doing a lot better, and we're not even really making use of our artifacts. So maybe that was just, who knows. Maybe it was just that slight disparity in the damage of the, like, now that I fixed how the scimitar and the sword are balanced against each other. And so yeah, what is the chance for, was it burning explosion? What is it called? Wait. Flaming Death. 10% chance. So maybe that should be a bit higher. Oh, what did I pick? Range, damn it. I'll ask another question. So no. No. We'll see. And are wargs on par with rogues? Okay. Yeah, AoE is good because if we've got fireballs, so fire and AoE kind of synergize. Brawler, plank, whirlwind blade. We've got AoE. Shouldn't have picked range. That was a bad mistake pick. I'm gonna pick the whirlwind blade. So now we're stomping. I think so much depends on that early momentum. Like, it's kind of a blessing and a curse with this game that so much is dependent on momentum. If you win early, you will win later. And if your army dies, it's quite hard to recover, and vice versa. If your army is too big, it's quite hard to ever feel challenged. It's kind of a problem with all Survivor games. It's the same in Vampire Survivors. Like, if you don't start winning early enough, if you don't get that combo upgrade early on, you won't be killing enemies as fast as they're spawning, meaning not as many will spawn, meaning you won't be getting the upgrade, you won't be leveling up as much, and then you just and because you're not as strong, you know, and it compounds itself. None of these are good picks, really. None of them are bad picks, but let's go with armor. A lot of it is just like axe, and this is realistic to warfare. Is an axe, because of its like high damage, it's good in a group battle situation, but in a one-on-one fight, would you rather have a big heavy axe or a sword? You would rather have a sword in a one-on-one fight. Sword is better, but in a group situation, axe is probably a little bit better. Okay, so already we were doing so well, but we've just kind of fallen behind. Why is that? So, is it that orcs are strong to fight against because they have the buff, but not on allied team? So basically, should our allied orcs just spawn in quicker? I mean, if there's a lack of balance, I can always just be like, well, spawn the orcs in quicker then. That'll make the orc team better. But the thing is, I really want to identify what is the actual reason that the orcs are not as good as the humans. Right? Like, what is the truth there? Because I don't just want to say, oh, let's make them stronger. Like, no, what is it about the humans versus the orcs that means that I have a much harder time winning as the orcs? I guess because this combines with, yeah. Like, that's rough. That's very rough. Oh, and now we've got two. Like, they're just plainly not as good for some reason. And I think it's got to have something to do with the. I mean, I've only picked 2 allies for starters. And it's kind of like I end up picking more weapons as Orko because of his ultimate ability. But as you can see, the ultimate ability doesn't really come into play for quite a while. I want my fire starter. That's why I'm not picking any allies, because I want to make space for my fire starter. And yeah, this burning explosion just isn't happening. There we go, fire starter. Chicken. I mean, I am pretty tough, Like I'm able to kind of take on packs by myself effectively. Fireball. Yeah. There we go. Bit of that explosion-y happening. So what is it? The Firestarter and the Drummer is a combo, I think. Yeah. I'll just cheat and have a look at my... I'm just having a look at what the combos are. I don't know why Miro has to load every time I hit the tab. So Firestarter combines with Zapper to make Warlock, or Drummer to make Shaman. Both of them end up with Fireball. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Chicken? Okay, well this could work. Neither of these have strong synergies. So let's just go with, but Killer kind of has synergy with everything because we're always killing enemies, and resetting attacks is always good. Also, and buffs are pretty good. Yeah, yeah, it's starting to work. I definitely need SFX for explosion. Because I keep trying to fix it at SFX. Explosion, because for some reason it just never really... I can never really hear it. Yeah, I mean, I'm wrecking shit now, because we're getting these explosions. And that would be even better with the fire, and because I'm getting these kills, I'm buffing all of my fellow units. So it's starting to come together. Yeah, I'm buffing my guys like crazy, so they're getting really strong. We've got our first loot box. And what do we want? So we can have chain by mixing. Wait, no, rations plus range will be. Oh yeah, because we want poison plus crit. Yeah, that'll work. No, that won't work. Never mind. Poison plus crit for the humans is the one that means all my characters will set enemies on fire on all attacks. But for the orcs, it will mean that they electrify them on attacks, which is not particularly useful for us in this run. Drummer, Firestarter. Firestarter. Let's lean into the fire as hard as possible. Okay, can we get this going? Yeah, I mean, my hero's tough because I've got good weapons. Yeah, gotta be careful not because I can still get killed really quickly. Right. Yeah. I see, but then we just get flanked from the other side and my army's gone. Because they just get hit by this big wodge. AoE seems good. Firestarter. So the Firestarter is just using the same sprites as the Zapper because I haven't drawn it yet. And as such, I haven't bothered to put the sprite on the on here. Yeah, let's keep going with that. And yeah, I mean, I've got a strong hero, which makes sense to the kind of character here. Oh, but I'm getting murked. Oh dear. It could be just that I think one of the things is that basically ranged tends to be really good in this situation, which again, in an army situation, ranged weapons are really, really good. Having lots of guys with ranged weapons, and if the enemy has more ranged characters than melee characters, then they win. So I need to like make melee better or something like that. It's going to be a long journey to get the balance right. Okay, so I'm going to pick this one so that we can get our shaman. If you're familiar with the game, you'll be confused whether. So I've changed shaman to zapper, and I've made shaman a tier 2 character, which is going to be a character that does chain heal and fire, like a kind of what you'd expect from a shaman. And what used to be called the shaman is now the zapper, which has the same sprite as the fire starter. It's a bit confusing, but okay, yeah, I'm seeing those explosions popping off, which means that my fire thing is working. Yeah, see that? Because they're on fire, they pop, and then another one pops, and yeah, it's good. Okay, boomer. Yeah, we can get grenades if we combine our fire with our boomerang, but we can also get meteor. But I guess both are good, so let's lean into that. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I feel like we're sort of always on the back foot a little bit. Like, I can't quite get my army going, but because my main guy is quite tough, it sort of doesn't really matter. But yeah, with this flaming death thing, and because our fire attacks are quite consistent, enemies just pop. See, they're all on fire. All on fire, and let's pop them. Let's pop the gang. Come on, come on, come on, pop. Okay, that was bad. Lost a lot of health. Oh dear. Okay, here they come. Okay, can I get through? Come on, come on. Just let me through. Just let me through. One time, please. No! I was doing so well. I think it's this one. I think it's that the orcs are not quite strong enough to warrant how slowly they spawn in. So to balance that, so let's just have a quick look. I mean, I shouldn't spend too long doing this, because basically I need to like finish putting all the stuff in the game before I start really getting into the nitty-gritty with balance. This doesn't feel nitty-gritty though. This feels like fundamentally like the humans are way easier to play as than the orcs. But yeah, as you can see, the orcs, so while a human soldier has 20, it goes 20, 30, 40, 50. Orcs go 50, 60, 70, 80. But their spawn interval, instead of being 4, it's 6. So I'm just going to go ahead and make the spawn interval 5. And see if... Because like, really, in real terms, is it better to have more units? Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like, what ends up being more HP, right? I'm not very good at maths, but it would be like, you would sort of say, like, spawn interval. So I don't know what the maths would be, but like if we said 50 divided by 4 equals 12.5, and then 80 divided by 6, 13.3. So 80. So actually, the orcs are still better. There's still more HP there. Does that make sense? So I'm taking the max health of a fully leveled soldier, or let's start from the bottom. Max health of a soldier divided by how long it takes for them to spawn in. 5, right? And then let's take the standard health of an orc, and let me just double check that that is 50. Yeah, the max health of a standard orc divided by the time it takes for one to spawn, 8.3. So that's better. That's better, right? But it's not as simple as that, because I think having more units is still a better thing, because that's more attacks happening at the same time, and so on and so on. Like, so I think we're going to try with that set to 5. And again, I perhaps ought to be using constants here. But basically the rule is these, like, we trade health for spawn interval. Right? So these orcs, they have more HP, but they take longer to spawn in. But I feel like that just means I lose. Like, that's not balanced. So 50 to 6 versus 12 versus 20 to 4. It seems balanced there, but it's not, apparently. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. So let's try it like that. And yeah, I should be using a constant. So instead of having to grab all of my orcs and telling them to have a slower spawn rate, I have to go and grab each of them individually. Chief. So the goblins are at... Goblin characters come every 4 seconds. Orc characters, because they have higher health, they come in a bit slower. Shaman is going to be an orc. So we go... Tier 2 orc is 180, 200, 220, 240. Like, that might be balanced. But Shaman 180. $200, $220. I mean, maybe they shouldn't all have the same stuff, but and Totem, I believe. Yeah, they're kind of like normal characters. So you see how that works? It's like the balancing here is a bit tricky, because the easiest thing would be that orcs are not actually much stronger than humans or goblins, but they just like look scarier, and then it would be much easier to balance. But I enjoy the challenge of saying no, orcs are bigger and stronger, but of course, because this is a game, I mean, they could be ridiculous. I mean, maybe they're already slow enough for it to be balanced, but no, you do need like 2 or 3 humans. But like 2 or 3 humans can kill an orc before it can get 2 attacks out, right? Meaning strength in numbers is the way. So while 50 divided by 6 is higher than 20 divided by 4, meaning there is more orc HP on the field, like being produced, it's still better to have more units, because then they're attacking more, but also they're attacking more frequently. And if you're attacking more frequently, that means you're like getting that last bit of HP off quicker. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's me for today. I might do a little bit more on like off stream, but basically that's the next thing is this annoying bug. Let's try and fix that. Optimize the buffs. Sort out this checking for blocks. Add artifact. So this is all stuff that I need to do that is fundamental fixes to the game. And then once all of that's done, and then I can probably do some drawing. It doesn't really matter which of these I do first. I might just do this tomorrow on stream because it'll be fun. And then once I've done all of that, I can then move on to adding the undead faction, which involves programming in the new things that they do, making all the ally prefabs, making all of the sprite, and then drawing the sprites. Oh, sort combo achievements is 1. Yeah. So the combo achievements is we say combine this and this, and perhaps what I ought to do is find some clever way to generate achievements. No, I think I'll just do it manually. So sort combo achievements should come right at the end after all of this. And then this kind of goes somewhere because I need, like, basically if I just made a undead hero, then suddenly we would have access to the undead tribe and we could actually play as the undead. They're all programmed in. It's just obviously some of the weapons won't work as intended and so on. Anyway, so that's me for today. Thanks for joining if you joined. That turned out to be rather a long one. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I will be streaming for a bit tomorrow as well, I think, either drawing or doing some coding. We'll see. Right, I'm going to go play some Factorio, I think. All right, have a good evening. Bye.